Go ahead.
All right, Brady, all of you who don't know me, I'm Lieutenant Tom Parker. I'm a paramedic. I have been a paramedic for the last 20 years. So we're going to start our journey on first aid. Like First Sergeant said, we're going to be busted up into battle buddies. So your best chance of survival will be your battle buddy. Even in a real world scenario outside these doors today, it's national standard, it's 8 minutes. It'll take 8 minutes for police, fire, or EMS to get to you. So that 8 minutes is one of the most critical 8 minutes that you can imagine. The brain can only survive 4.5 minutes without oxygen. All right, you can bleed out in 4.5 minutes. 4.5 minutes, I don't know if you've done the math, is under 8 minutes. So it's the first responder, the person who knows first aid, or your battle buddy, who's going to be able to use your IVAC, and we're going to talk about that here in the real near future. It's going to help save your life until the medic or another first responder can get there. And this stuff doesn't just apply to when crap hits the fan. It can be at any moment. We could be in a training session, or we could be handing out water for crying sakes. All right, so I'm sure you've heard the phrase, you got to learn to crawl before you walk, and that's it. It's like that in most all of life. So for today, starting off with first aid or medicine, we're also going to do health, because preventative medicine is going to be the best measure for all of this. So we're going to learn to crawl before we walk. So today we're going to learn the ABCs of medicine. Whether you're putting on a Band-Aid, stopping major bleeding, or doing CPR, you use the ABCs. If you're a mom who has kids, you've used the ABCs and you don't even know it. If your kid comes to you with a little scratch on his finger, you've done the ABCs and handed him a Band-Aid. We're here to take the mystery out of first aid, so it's not so intimidating. I'm not going to bring anything that isn't above the juniors level, so juniors can take part in this. There are no stupid questions, so don't be afraid to ask a question. The fact that you don't ask the question to figure out the answer to what you don't know, that's the fact that that's stupid right there. All right. So, we're going to use the ABCs of everything. And simply it is just airway, A, breathing, B, and C is circulation. Airway is nothing more than the oral and nasal cavities, your nose and mouth, and leading into your trachea, which is a windpipe. We're going to go over anatomy in just a second. Down to your lungs where the exchange is. Breathing is actually the active breathing, or B, which is the diaphragm creating negative pressure, sucking in air in your chest, and the fact that you have a patent airway, and you can see that somebody's breathing, either talking, and you can see chest rise, or if you put your ear to somebody's mouth, you go, listen, look, and feel that they're breathing. C is circulation. That's a big one. Without circulatory, we can't have that CO2 and carbon dioxide exchange in the lungs. Every single organ requires oxygenated blood. Without it, they begin to die. The most critical being the heart and the lungs. The other ones are going to be your liver, and so on and so forth. And roughly, if you can keep the heart and the brain alive, the liver and that could last a lot longer, about 6 hours, over and above the heart. So if you go to that second page, that's just a point of reference for you so you can understand what we're talking about. Let's just run through the anatomy real quick. We're going to start from the nose and work our way down. All of us know that what we call the nares, which is the opening of your nose. It's where you put your trigger finger, your booger picker. It's where we all started digging for gold. Behind that is the nasal cavity. All that is the open space behind the nares. Behind that open space is called the nasal pharynx. The nasal pharynx kind of winds down because it's going down towards the back of our neck. We call that the nasal pharynx. And this stuff will become more important to you as we go on in first aid. Next is your mouth, or your lips, or your oral cavity. Once you get past the lips and the teeth, you have the oral cavity itself, which is that open space behind your lips and teeth. In that cavity, you're going to find a tongue. The tongue helps you taste, drink, eat, helps you talk. It also is the third, one of the top 3 and one of the largest obstructions of the airway in human beings. Hot dogs being one or two. All right, so on the roof of your mouth, it's called the hard palate. And as we get older, that hard palate becomes even more harder. The younger the person is, the softer that hard palate is. To the rear of that is known as the soft palate. And it's just a more pliable part of the roof of your mouth. Now at the back of the airway, you've got that dangly thing there that you've seen it in the mirror in the morning, especially when you're young. It's called the uvula. Now most people will tell you it really doesn't have a purpose in it, and you can live without it. It's basically a piece of plastic on a tram of garbage, and it knocks the garbage down, keeps it flat. The same thing with your uvula. So if you were to have it removed, it's not going to affect you whatsoever. So behind that you have the oral pharynx, which is just simply the very back of the airway. The nasal pharynx will come down and meet that oral pharynx. If you stick your finger all the way far enough, you'll get that gagging reflex because you've got your finger way back here in what's called the oral pharynx. Now that's going to come down the neck, whether you're laying flat or standing up. Think of it as an orientation as it's coming down. You've got a little lever there, or a door. It's called the epiglottitis. Epiglottis. Epiglottitis is actually an inflammation of that. Epiglottis. And it acts like a trap door, and it allows air and food to go to its respective canals. Now the trachea sets anterior or in the front towards your chest. Anterior is your back towards your back, and you'll find your esophagus or your food tube in that direction. So if you're in the act of eating, your brain tells your epiglottis to shut for the flip over and shut for the airway, allowing food to go to the esophagus and not the trachea because you'll choke on it. And likewise, when you're breathing and not eating, flip over the other way and allow air to exchange to the trachea and not into the airway into your belly where you'll expel it at some point from one of the orifices. We work our way down. If you'll notice on your picture, you'll see that tube that runs down the chest. The very bottom of it's actually called the carina, which is just nothing more than the very bottom of the airway. It's just below where you see it branching off for bifurcating. The two big sacs you see connected to that are nothing more than big old flesh sacs. And that's where we have our O2 exchange. Inside there is an Eli that exchanges CO2 for oxygen. And your blood, which is that the organ out we're going to follow next, is between those two air sacs is your heart. It's your blood pumper, your people engine. That's what's going to take all of that oxygenated blood and force it all the way through the body. Now it's going to use arteries. Arteries are those that carry the oxygenated blood. That'll be that bright red stuff. That'll be the stuff if you do have a cut, it's going to be squirting. But after all that blood and oxygen is used, it's got to return to the lungs to get that exchange so it can be cleaned again. So as it goes through the liver and it works its way back to the heart or to the lungs for the exchange, it uses veins. Veins are the ones that you'll see in a cut that'll be pouring or just leaking. They have no major pressure behind them. On your that piece of paper I handed out on the front page, I put some normal vital signs. Inevitably, somebody asked me, all of medicine is patient dependent or victim dependent, okay? What's normal for one is not normal for the other. So that's why I put a little note under each of them. Some people are, depending on their size, their condition, their blood pressure, which is normal for them, is going to be higher than what's textbook. So simply put, the medical ABCs are used to assess a victim, and it can be done within just mere minutes, or actually seconds, especially moms who identified that in the past. Every time that you approach a person, a patient, or a victim, you're going to use the ABCs to assess them. Like I go to First Sergeant and I ask him, how do you feeling today, First Sergeant? He answers pretty good. I can see that he has an airway. Okay, A. You see that he has an airway. It's unobstructed because he's talking to me. I can see chest rise and fall. If I got close enough, I could feel his breath. Look, listen, and feeling with that if I have to. So I've got my A and my B covered. I can see that he's got circulation because he's sitting up. Because with a lack of circulation, guarantee you, you'll be laying flat. You'll either go face first or backwards. I can grab First Sergeant's wrist and feel that he has a pulse. And even though the First Sergeants are made out of spare parts from a war factory over in France, he still does have a pulse.
Yay! Thanks a lot, Lieutenant.
So, in future classes, okay, we're going to build on this. This is what's going to, we're going to go back to this every time that we do something. I'm going to try to keep the teaching down to a bare minimum, so 15 to 20 minutes. Any longer than that, you'll forget more than you'll remember. So we're going to learn it, and then we're going to practice it. And we can fit this in at any time, whether we're on in the field or whether we're in a classroom situation. Again, don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to participate. We need everybody to participate. Just having it be in a memory in your gray matter is great, but committing this stuff to muscle memory will serve you well in the future. We're going to learn about IVACs, the contents of those IVACs, and how to use the contents of those IVACs. I brought a few things out to show you how the agencies actually apply to everything. They apply to your assessment. They apply to what equipment you're going to use to treat that person who's injured. This is a CPR pocket mask. So this can fit under what, A, B, or C? B. B, breathing. I'm assisting with breathing. A being airway, B being breathing, C being circulation. An Izzy bandage or a battle dressing. Is it A, B, or C? C, circulation. Because without that circulation, without a minimum of 80 millimeters of mercury on a blood pressure scale, you're not getting enough oxygenated blood to the organs. So stopping bleeding is a major importance. Selenex or any other clotting agent, A, B, or C. C, it's easy. You're stopping the lack of circulation. This one's a little tougher. ACE wrap, ACE bandage. What would you think it is? It is C. And we don't use, a lot of people have actually seen this, a taped wrist or a taped knee or a wrap ankle. And they use it for structural support. However, in an emergency situation, we can make pressure bandages out of this because it has elasticity and we can stretch it out so we can create pressure underneath the bandage. Whether it's a 4x4 abdominal bandage or just a wad of gauze. This is actually called a PVM or a bag valve mask. This is a portable one. You can work off ambient air or it has a tube to hook to oxygen. Ambient air has 36% oxygen. It's more than enough to provide oxygen to a patient who's unconscious or who you need to assist in breathing. Is it an A, B, or C? Good question.
B.
B, breathing. Yeah. Now we're going to get into the A's, airways. This is called an oropharyngeal airway. It's fitted into the mouth and back behind the tongue. We're going to get into this in the field because anybody can do this. If a 4-year-old can call 911 to save his mom, all of us can use all the equipment that I have in my bag. But this helps hold the tongue forward because that tongue is one of the top 3 of the airway obstructions. Nasal pharyngeal. It's nothing more than a rubber tube and actually goes into one of your nasal cavities. Goes all the way back to your nasal pharynx. It creates an open area, or what we call patency, or a patent. It's open. And it maintains that open airway so that you can breathe unimpeded. By the way, you don't have the equal nostrils. One's bigger than the other. And a good way for us to gauge that is with the person's pinky finger. It's usually about the width of an area.
And while I'm digging up there, I should
When
check.
you're digging for gold, you can check the signs. All right, these are what, A, B, or C?
Okay.
Exactly, airway. A tourniquet, this one's called a rat's tourniquet, something I got you. If you do happen to buy these, don't put them on by yourself, you better have a friend. Because I did put this on to see if it worked and how it worked. I had a hell of a time getting it off. Almost had to cut it. So make sure
That one's not considered a T.
it's not, it's very quick, strap around.
I have one
This is
open
your
right here
standard.
if you want to use.
Well, this is standard, this is standard, and it's a lot wider material, okay? And it covers a lot more. This actually wraps around and then just clips in.
Is it possible to use that on by yourself?
Oh yeah, absolutely, by
I know
yourself.
the
Both
T-
of them can.
Yeah.
This one's even a little quicker than this. It's actually a lot more inexpensive, about $12 less. These run about $27. This is about average of $19, $20. This can be as high as $32, depending on where you buy it from. But is this A, B, or C? C for circulation. So that just takes the mystery out of it all. So now all I really need for you to take away from today is to understand that it's simple, that there's a simple way of doing it. Now there's more to the ABCs. There's a D and an E, of course, and it goes on. D being disability, E being expose and examine. And we'll get into that as we go. Okay, so like I said before, we're going to incorporate this to anything else that we do. The 17th, we have CERT training. You're going to revisit this on CERT training, especially during the assessment. You'll see these ABCs are going to pop up every single time that we do something. And again, please get involved with this stuff. Like I said, having this stuff in your gray matter and knowing that you've seen it and you read it, and that's just all great. But putting it to muscle memory will serve you more better than having it in your gray matter. Just knowing what to do. If those of you who are squeamish from seeing blood, you'll get through it. Trust me. I actually went to a paramedic class with a guy who fainted at the sight of blood from an IV. He would pass right out. Matter of fact, the first day that we actually practiced the IVs in class, he hit the dirt like nobody's business. But that guy, that same guy, I have seen elbow deep in somebody's blood, doing everything he could to save their life. The human body has a way of shutting that stuff off at serious times and going and moving forward with the task that needs to be done. All right, so I don't thank everybody for sitting through that really quick. Any questions before we close it up?
Just address one when you have an injury or you're in pain, your vital signs that you're talking about.
Oh.
It's going to be higher than normal.
Oh, absolutely. Yep. And we're going to go into shock,
Yeah.
and we're going to dabble into shock the 17th as
I
well.
mean, that would be normal if they see higher blood pressure and higher heart rate.
Yeah, lower blood pressure is going to mean that we have a loss of something. We have a loss of our container, and we're going to definitely get into that. And I'll keep things simple so that everybody understands it, okay? It doesn't matter if you're 8 or if you're 80, you'll be able to understand this stuff. And we'll keep the procedure simple. We're not going to get into anything too complicated. It's not really that hard. You teach first aid for certain. It's really not that hard. It's just
It's
that
not
you
really
have to.
first aid, but
Right, but you just, well, ours is going to be limited as well, but a lot more probably than surgery. All right, no more questions?
Are we
Anyone?
gonna learn about surgeries?
We can. It's just getting somebody who's willing to be that patient.
First sergeant.
First aid.
We've got a gallbladder that needs to come out.
We can part them out. Yeah.
My K-bar is good.
All right.
I thought about doing some self-surgery the other day when I was really acting up.
So thanks for sitting through that. And remember, it's not just about first aid, but also our best protection on anything is going to be a preventative medicine. So we're going to talk a lot about that too. With the warm months coming up, we're going to talk about heat injuries and dehydration, heat stroke, heat exhaustion, dehydration. We're going to be hitting on that real quick. It doesn't matter if we're giving out water or if we're actually doing in the field training, carrying 80 pounds of stuff with you. it's gonna make a difference that you understand what to do to avoid that stuff, and that's what preventative medicine is. All right, those of you, we have a large group of people with allergies. You have some allergies. Be a great idea if we start getting our information together, putting it on the card. Now, I'm not asking you to put in the personal information, but things like allergies. That's a good thing to know. And maybe getting that stuff laminated and putting it in your pocket.
I did make a space down on the membership cards for medical allergies.
Excellent. Oh, I forgot about that. Yes, perfect. So make sure you start carrying your cards. How's that? All right.
Take a look at the new uniforms that are being utilized. Their blood type is right on their uniform.
Just make sure you got it right.
If you've seen the new
Yeah.
desert tans, it's right there. And first aid has been changed to combat life saving.
Yeah.
Whereas first aid is one thing, but combat life saving is the first step before the medevac comes in.
Right.
So that's where the battle buddy is very important, which he brought out. And you also have got first aid or medics within your squads, which I'm hoping we can also get qualified personnel that you would state would be qualified as a medics within the rifle squads. Same thing with the cavalry division. But
Yeah.
go ahead, sir. I didn't mean to
Oh,
interrupt.
no. Brings up a good point. Just remember this though, whoever your medic in your squad is, he can be 50 yards from you. 50 yards really doesn't seem like a lot. It really is. It's from here to the other side of the parking lot. But that 50 yards can be 7 freaking miles away. It really can be. And it can take you an hour to get there. So your battle buddy knowing a little bit or a lot about first aid is really gonna help. All right?
So it's equally as important for the training, not only for yourself, but for your battle buddy, and it's
Right.
equally important to encourage your battle buddy to show up at the trainings for your sake, right?
We need to get that going. Yep, we're done.